Yo, what's up everyone? Kevin here. Today I'm up snowboarding at North Star, and in this video I want to talk to you guys about whether or not you need to buy a powder board or if your park snowboard can work through the powder snow. So up here at North Star today, I was riding my park board because I thought it was just going to be a pure park day. So I've got a twin stance at plus 15, negative 15. My park board is completely twin, not directional, same amount of nose as tail. I just want to share with you guys my experience of riding this through the powder snow today. So when I compare this board to my powder board is about 3 centimeters bigger. It also has a much smaller tail. So the tail on my powder board is about half of this size. And the nose on my powder board is, I wouldn't say it's double, but it's 3/4 bigger as well. So having those dimensions in the powder board really makes it feel a lot different. So overall, the park board did pretty decent, but I just want to list some of the pros and cons of having a park board and powder compared to just a pure park setup. So the first thing is you definitely do have to get your weight quite a bit further back. So through the snow, my back leg was starting to feel like the strain of having to lean back. And the main thing that affected was really the length of how long I could ride a pow line for. I was definitely taking more breaks because every few minutes I'd have to stop and let my back leg actually rest before continuing on again. Opposed to when you're using your powder board, you're almost standing level through the snow. And so both legs are doing more or less an equal amount of work. So with the pure park board was definitely getting that back leg workout. And I guess one thing I could foresee happening in the future is just having one really strong leg and one weaker front leg, and possibly like riding some switch in the powder may help that. But I think on big powder days, having that back leg do all the work is kind of unfair to that one leg. So that's definitely not ideal. And with the pure powder board, you definitely do save your back leg. So next, contrasting the speed you need with the park board versus powder. On the park board, I definitely noticed that it was much harder to keep my speed up through the powder snow. And I think this is because my board is on much more of an angle through the snow. So instead of skimming across the top on a powder snowboard, I'm more like plowing through the snow and pushing the snow with the base of my snowboard. So I could definitely notice that across any flat areas when I was trying to maintain my speed, it was pretty difficult to do so. And I was almost doing kind of like a dolphin hop, just trying to keep my board up out of the snow so that I can make it across some of those sections. So I was having to really avoid riding in certain places, keeping my speed up, and even after doing all that, was still once in a while getting stuck. The last thing to mention is that in terms of just like maneuverability on the board and even like landing some small drops, I did find that the park board held up pretty well. I didn't feel like I was struggling to make quick turns or even struggling to land drops. So having the park setup, in some ways it was about equal to having like the powder setup. Getting through some tight spaces and even landing drops wasn't really an issue at all. So when comparing boards and just maneuverability and riding through some technical terrain, I think the park board held up really well and didn't give me any problems at all. One thing I do have to take into consideration is that we did have like way more tumbles on the park board today. So at least had 3 falls that I wasn't expecting, and that's because I was riding on my back foot, but it just wasn't enough and that tail got caught and I went flying forward. If you want to have a day where you're riding without the fear of falling, having a true POW setup will help you just stay on your feet a lot more. You know, it is fun to fall and the powder is really forgiving, but a few falls throughout the day, trying to get yourself up out of that snow can tire you out, and it's fun, but I would prefer to stay up on my feet. So if you are making that decision to make the pure powder board setup, in my opinion, I think it's worth it. It just makes a day of powder riding that much more fun, enjoyable. It makes your riding better, and it's gonna save your legs and your energy at the end as well. If you do want to make your park setup work, you can just move your back binding all the way to the very end of your tail, making the tail of your board as small as possible. I think that would greatly just improve the floatability and take some of that stress off of that back leg. But if you can swing it, a paddleboard is a great idea. I'll put links to all my gear, guys, down in the description if you guys want to check it out. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions about powder snowboards, let me know about them down in the comments. Have fun with their snowboarding, guys. Be safe, and I'll see you in the next video soon.